Hello and welcome to Dive Beyond Sport. My name is Yona Night Wisdom.
And I'm Freddie Woodward. In each episode, we speak to athletes to discover their identity, value, and excellence. Dive. This isn't about medals, results, or records. It's about the people behind the performance. Today's guest is a big figure in British basketball. 13 seasons as captain of the Sheffield Sharks, Team England captain at the 2018 Commonwealth Games. And since retiring, he hasn't slowed down, leading marketing for the Sharks, coaching the University of Sheffield, and breaking down the game as a Sky Sports analyst. Mike Tuck, welcome.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's great to be here. Good to be on the Dive podcast. You guys are doing a great job. Thank you again for having me.
Mike, it's great to have you on. It's great to get this opportunity to talk to you. I love watching basketball. I'm wearing the Miami Heat cap. Today, that's my American basketball team, as I've spent a bit of time in Miami. But for those who are unfamiliar with your story, unfamiliar with you, how would you sum up what got you to this position that you're in today?
Yeah, I guess the elevator life talk. Obviously, was born in Toronto, Canada. And ended up going to high school in Markham, which is like a suburb right near the city. I played a lot of sports when I was younger, but basketball was the one that I kind of stuck onto. I was always the tallest kid in the class, so it was kind of natural, but I developed a real love for the game from an early age. I was very lucky to have some good people and some good coaches around me at a young age, and that ended up leading to a scholarship to a Division I university in the States. So I went to Loyola University in Baltimore, Maryland. After I finished my career there, I wanted to continue playing basketball. The love wasn't over yet, so ended up bouncing around Europe for a few years. Played in Cyprus, Luxembourg, France. And then just ended up coming for a trial up in Sheffield. And it was a situation where I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how long I was going to be here. I thought everywhere else I had been was like, a one and done kind of situation. And ended up winning a piece of silver my first year in Sheffield. That grew into a second year in Sheffield. And then all of a sudden, just things escalated rapidly. And here we are. I got to Sheffield in 2009, and here we are, 16 years later. So
you got trapped by the Still City.
That's it.
The trees,
and the incredible weather, the hills, all the beautiful things that Sheffield has to offer.
I was going to say like Cyprus and Luxembourg and then Sheffield, and that's the place that you chose to settle.
Well, I mean, my mother was British. She was born in Bournemouth, and then she ended up moving to Canada when she was 16 permanently. So I kind of grew up around British culture. We had a lot of family here, so when my other friends were doing trips to like Mexico and Florida, we were slogging across the Atlantic, coming to see me in England. So I'd already been here about 3 or 4 times before I came, as a professional basketball player. So it was easiest transition, I think, for me coming across seas.
So you were already warmed up to the UK people then. British people.
I was warmed to UK people. Now Sheffield and the Yorkshire accent, that was a different story. That took me a while to take that in. I always say it took me about 2 years to start getting the lingo and hey, don't get it. Let's go.
That's good.
No, it's great. I mean, Sheffield people are golden. Everyone here is so friendly, and as an outsider who came in, the city really adopted me, and I always say that I am Yorkshire's adopted son. So had amazing career here, and here I am. I'm still here, so I love the city.
Yeah, well, I guess in a way that does show. You wouldn't still be here if not, right?
Exactly.
But I wonder, what was it? well, maybe in terms of a sort of performance point of view, but what was it? What suddenly clicked in Sheffield? You mentioned obviously you won it was the league trophy your first year.
It was the cup.
The cup, sorry.
BBL Cup. We won that my first year in Sheffield, and obviously, I'd had an amazing high school career. I had a solid university career, and then playing professionally was great. But I had never actually won a piece of silverware yet.
Yeah.
So getting that taste of that first piece of silverware and that first like real kind of success marker was an incredible feeling. And that was really, I think, what hooked me in to Sheffield, alongside obviously the city, but also the organization of the Sheffield Sharks, the people that worked there. They had a real vision, that they believed in me. They kind of enabled me, moving to the UK as a Canadian was a real culture shock, right? And I was used to Europe, which was a bigger culture shock because obviously, for example, when I was in France, I was in a small city with 40,000 people where absolutely no one spoke English. So coming to the UK was a little bit easier. And Sheffield kind of, the sport, the city gave me that sense of home that I maybe had been looking throughout my entire professional career.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that makes sense. But then, I mean, from an identity point of view, that being one of our big pillars, what I suppose in that sense, did you obviously now you're Yorkshire's adopted son, but what was that the sense of identity when you first maybe came? How quickly did that come around?
I think I was still young. I was in my like mid-20s. I don't really know if I knew my identity yet. I know that I was a professional basketball player. I know that I was a contract killer. I had been signed on to teams where typically there's only one or two import players and you're there to do a job. You're there to produce, you're there to win games. It's high pressure. It's a lot of stake on you. Whereas when I came to Sheffield, there was more imports on the team, more North Americans. So that was made life a lot easier. You had more guys that you had a lot more in common with, more guys that you could connect with. So that made soften the blow, if you will.
Yeah.
And then as the years progressed, obviously, like I said, the team kind of enabled me. They asked me to become captain. And I realized that my identity wasn't just as a player, but more as potentially a leader and a role model for the team, and then also for the community and the fans.
The players asked
That's
you,
amazing.
sorry, to become captain. That's just a really interesting point.
No, the club did, the team
club.
did. We was so it was. And that's another place where I was really lucky. It was 2 years in. So in my third year at the Sharks, I was asked to become captain. So I was 11 years as captain, 13 years as a player. But when I came to the team, a guy named Todd Cawthorn was captain, and he was kind of a similar guy to me, American guy who'd come over and had a really long career here in Sheffield. He kind of bounced around, but he ended up back in Sheffield for his last couple of years playing. So he was a guy that I learned a lot off of right away, and he was very respected. He kind of came from the 90s Sharks, which was kind of like the golden era of British basketball, but also of the Sheffield Sharks. They basically won everything back then. And my second year was Adrian Anderson, a guy similar, at the end of his career, but had been with the club for a very long time. So I had two really good role models in that sense. Where I knew what was kind of expected from me. I knew I learned kind of how to handle and manage a team. And also, I was co-captain of my university team. I was co-captain of my high school team. So I'd had these before, but in a professional sense, I was just a player. So, and I wasn't really even asking. I didn't even really go looking to be captain. I didn't ask to be captain, but I guess it was just more so something that they saw in me and they trusted me that I could be a guy that could take on that role for the club.
It's interesting because you said like you didn't necessarily have an identity when you moved to Sheffield, and maybe that took some time to come. But I feel like that's almost the culture of basketball in the way that I see it. In the NBA, in Europe, everywhere really. can you really build an identity? Because you never know how long you're going to stay in one particular place. Like, it can all change very quickly. You can move on to a different club very quickly, and then you have to build a new identity again. So if you really try and build something, it's like starting from scratch again, over and over and over, and you never know when it's going to happen. So I can imagine that's quite difficult. And actually, then when you receive the captaincy, that probably helped massively when it comes to like really establishing that identity, because that probably came with a little bit more security, right? Um, did you have any kind of did you have any kind of like imposter syndrome with that, or did you feel ready to step up to that level?
It was because it was interesting because I remember I was back home in Canada and I got the call from the general manager, and obviously we were in negotiations for the contract for next year, but then she also dropped it on me. She's like, "We'd like you to be captain," and it was one of those weird ones where I wasn't expecting it, so it was just like, whoa. And all, you get that, yeah, there's that little bit of imposter syndrome, a little bit of that doubt, and fear, maybe even, but more so an opportunity that I was not going to say no to, something that I really wanted to jump on board with. And again, I knew that would kind of help cement me within the team, within the fabric of the club, and carry me forward. And it did, because I think that next year I signed a 3-year contract, which is pretty much unheard of, especially in those days for British basketball. So, and that again helped me really establish who I really was as a player and as a leader, because, when you go from place 1 year to 1 year, you go through the season and sometimes you're just searching for stats just to get on that highlight tapes, and so you can send it to your agent. So that next season, and you get into the end of the season, it start getting to March and April and May, and you're not, sometimes you can get distracted about thinking about, okay, where am I going next season? I don't know what's going to happen. Whereas when I had that 3-year contract lined up, I was like, oh, okay, I'm safe here. I'm comfortable here. And I can really start trying to build not only something for myself, but try and bring success to this club, overall. And I think that kind of thing helped build resilience in me, but also like showed my loyalty to the club. So another part of my identity, I think, and if you look at my overall career, the last 13 years of my basketball career were in Sheffield. I had offers to go other places, but I stayed true, and I'm always kind of proud of that fact of my loyalty and my consistency with the club.
I mean, that's something I think we really want to touch on, particularly with values, again, being one of our pillars. But I think just flashing back to one thing you said there, which I thought was really interesting. So having that 3-year contract allowed you to be more selfless, you think? So, and I think that's a really interesting point, actually. I've not considered that.
Yeah, I definitely think so. And it just made you more comfortable, because it didn't have all those things in the back of your mind, like, oh my God, I'm not just playing for my, I'm not just trying to get stats because that's what other teams are going to look at for the next season. I'm trying to build something bigger here. And that was year on, year out, as I kept building, and learning, right? Because I'd been captain other places, but it was different situations at different levels, different age groups. And now, you're with grown men all at different ages, all at different stages of their career. And sometimes I wasn't the oldest guy on the team. I was younger. So it was like learning how to like get through to other guys, or set an example for other guys. And I think that was something with me as well. Becoming captain, I wasn't as vocal as I needed to be earlier on in my career. And that's something that I learned along the way, is that my voice carried influence, it carried weight, and I needed to speak up more when the situation asked me to. Because at the beginning, I was just much more leader by example. I would just put my head down and get on the court and work and hope that the other guys would follow through with me. But not every guy will do that. Some guys love that. Some guys will take inspiration from that. But other guys, some guys need a kick up the backside. Some guys need the arm around the shoulders. Sometimes you got to drag the guys with you to get there. So learning how to speak my mind, learning my timing, learning who needs to be, who needs a little bit more of a shouting at, who needs the arm around the shoulder, all those kind of things. So, like I said, it wasn't just about being a basketball player, but it was about being, a good teammate, a big brother, a psychologist, all those other things that kind of come along in team sports, well, in sports in general, but especially in team sports and especially in basketball.
I mean, you say that you weren't just a basketball player, and you absolutely weren't, because you were working a job at the same time, right? Throughout your Sheffield career, which is obviously a very challenging thing to balance, but very normal in those kind of sports. Was it like a 9 to 5, right? And then you'd go and train in the evenings.
No, so originally when I came to the team, I was just a full-time pro. And
Mhm.
then as the years went on, I think it was year 6 or 5 in Sheffield. The team could see that this was going to be a more long-term thing. I was going to be a long-term player, and they actually signed a partnership, a sponsorship deal with a local law firm. And in throughout the talks, they said, "Oh, we had just fired our marketing manager," and they said, "Oh, our captain studied marketing at university." And next thing you know, I'm putting on a suit and I'm going into a meeting with a law firm in
Wow.
Sheffield. So another thing where I was pushed outside my comfort zone, which I think was a huge thing throughout my entire career. Getting outside your comfort zone. But the Sharks were like, here's an opportunity for you, and it worked perfectly. Obviously, they were a sponsor. I started working for
Yeah.
them as their marketing manager in an industry I didn't really know a lot about, but so there was a lot of learning curves throughout that, and then learning how to manage playing and practicing with also like it was like Superman and Clark Kent. I was chucking on this, quickly showering, chucking on the suit, and racing to the office after practice.
Wow.
And that lasted for
3 years.
3 years. Left that job when the Sharks offered me a part-time role within the Sharks organization, and then I became part-time marketing manager while playing. Um, so that eventually grew into the role that I'm in now. I retired back in 2022, and they offered me the full-time role as the marketing manager for the Sharks. So that was kind of the transition. So I think in a lot of senses, I was very lucky that I had a team again that put that faith in me to be captain, but then they also, they were like, let's develop this guy not only as a basketball player, but as a person. And that's one thing
Yeah.
I always try and tell young athletes as well, is that your identity as an athlete is only a chapter. It's not the whole book. So you need to start looking forward to those future chapters, because you need to start building. So I'm very blessed that the club saw that in me and trusted me, and but also happy in myself, and that I had the courage to put myself forward, and for them to see something in me.
Yeah, that's exactly what I want to touch on, because you know, to get given that kind of opportunity is amazing, but it could be very easy to say, "Oh no, that sounds like it's going to be a lot of work. That sounds like it's going to be quite difficult. I don't need that. I'm the captain of this team. Um, able to live as the captain as a professional athlete for a long period of time. You didn't necessarily need to take that step and add more to your plate, but that shows the kind of values that you put in yourself and in your sport. That, well, first of all, sport's not forever. You need to start preparing for what's to come. So just having that awareness to try something different and step out of that comfort zone and continue learning is fantastic. But when you had that opportunity placed in front of you, were you able to see that value like way into the future, or was it just a kind of impulse decision in the moment?
Yeah, I mean, it was like I said, it was a scary transition at the beginning, especially at the beginning when I was working for the law firm in Sheffield. Again, it kind of not going in blind, but like I'd never worked. I wasn't a lawyer. I didn't train as a lawyer, and obviously I was doing the marketing for them. So that was like a steep learning curve right off the bat, trying to learn about all the different sectors of law, all the services that they offered, all those kind of things. And just kind of ingraining myself in that, adapting quickly, but also, this getting being scared and fearful of it. I kind of embraced that. I was kind of took that as a challenge to help develop myself, but also looking forward, like I knew basketball wasn't going to last forever. I knew it. So I knew that putting something on my resume, getting something down would be better than a guy that just plays basketball and then, all of a sudden his career is over at whatever, 29, in his early 30s, mid 30s, late 30s. Like I was really lucky to play until I was 39. So I didn't want to be that guy that played until his legs wouldn't run anymore and then not have anything. So developing myself off the court was a huge thing for me. I think it showed a little bit of that preparedness that you needed, and exploring other avenues, building networks, learning new skills, all huge things for athletes. Because when you look at it, some guys will play forever while all their other peer group are working in the real world. And then all of a sudden you stop playing and you're those years behind. So you could be going in at an entry level whenever you have all these other guys in front of you. So
Yeah.
um, really happy, the path that I took, and I'm very lucky as well.
I love that the club supported you in that as well, despite being their captain and them wanting you to perform as well as possible. They actually all kind of sounds like they pushed you into that role, which is amazing support, I think.
100%. I mean, I'm very, very lucky, and I'm a big believer that things happen for a reason. There was a reason I ended up here with a club that was established, but also wanting not just to get every last piece of sweat out of you on the basketball court. They wanted to see me succeed in life, and just going back to the whole Sheffield thing and identity is like Sheffield shaped so much of my identity. I learned everything about myself here. It was I'm very lucky that I've traveled and I've seen a lot of places, but this is like the place that I ended up and grew up throughout my mid late 20s and all the way through my 30s. Learned quite a bit about myself, and I am who I am because of this city and because of this club.
You said something as well about some, let's say, 39-year-olds still playing basketball, but they might not have any other experience, and you're potentially starting at the bottom. And that really resonated with me because I retired from competition in 2018, but then I went to work for Royal Caribbean as a performer, as a high diver, and I did that for 6 years until I was 29, 30. And I remembered seeing people that were in our team. They were into their early 40s even, and they were still diving from 17 meters on this like moving cruise ship and doing all this amazing stuff, and they were performing really well. But I remembered like looking at them and kind of thinking, wait a minute, like what am I doing now that is going to mean that I'm not in their position? Because as much as I respect them, I don't want to be in their position. But what am I actually doing to make sure that I'm not in that position? And it really hit me like a train. And I kind of pushed that question to the side for so many years. So I just wondered in that aspect, what if you'd have any kind of clear advice for people who are maybe were a bit like me and sort of like, be fine.
I think, like I said, like planting seeds as early as possible, and being able to have that mentality, that growth mentality, but also getting outside of your comfort zone. I mean, I've seen the same thing with guys that I know that they're so used to this life or this lifestyle, or this is all they really know, that they don't have another choice. Whereas, you need to start Exploring passions that you have and finding out who you are outside of your sport. Because you know you're not just an athlete. I know that's a cliche saying, but we're not just athletes. You know, there's people and there's so much more to us. So you have to embrace evolution. You have to embrace the evolve of yourself as a person. And that's not to say that you can't use your identity as a sports person, as an athlete in your next step, because there's so many crossovers of things that I've learned as an athlete where I can use that in other aspects of my life. So like I said, it's just it's always a chapter. It's not the whole book. And figuring out what you want really out of life and out of a career post playing is the first step, and then starting to plant those seeds is the next.
And of course, it helps to be aligned with organizations that have good values as well, that kind of push you into those right places, are able to recognize those right places. The people within those organizations that have good values, that share the values, are super important. But, you know, speaking of pushing on to the age of 39 in basketball, you know, I retired at the age of 30. Freddie, I can't
23.
remember how old you would have been when you when you retired from competitive diving, but like that's it's hard to maintain that level of excellence, and we're seeing it now with a few athletes. Obviously, you got LeBron James, who's, I don't know, 112 years old, still playing. You got Lewis Hamilton still racing at 40 years old. You got Fernando Alonso, 43 or whatever it is. You got Cristiano Ronaldo still going into his 40s. It's remarkable to see these athletes going to such an old age. What was your drive to keep on pushing and sustain such a high level of excellence for such a long time?
Well, I think the first thing is just luck. I was very lucky that I didn't get any like crazy huge major injuries. You know,
Yeah.
and over my years, I've seen it all. You know, and I've even in my post playing career last season, I had to drive one of the women's players to the hospital. She'd ruptured her Achilles, so kind of seen it all. So luck was definitely a first thing. I think I learned a lot along the way. You know, maybe earlier in my career, I was a little bit more wild. My diet wasn't as good. But once you kind of hunker down on those different kind of lifestyle choices, so obviously, sleep is a huge one. Getting the right amount of sleep so your body can recover. Nutrition is a huge one. You can't be going and getting McDonald's on the way home from practice every day. And then, you know, definitely getting in the weight room, strength and conditioning, another huge one. And that was a big one towards the end of my career. I would say those last 3-4 seasons, I would spend so much time in the weight room, not just like pumping out crazy weight, but doing just the little things, you know, the prehabs. You don't have to do the rehab kind of stuff, just strengthening ankles, strengthening knees, just those small things to just keep your body in check, drinking enough water. And then I think, you know, something that was really big as well that wasn't there at the beginning of my career was the sports psychology. You know, our team started working with sports psychologists. So for myself, but also just for our team as a whole, just having that mindset and the attitude to attack each day.
That's something from, I was thinking as well when you were talking about that earlier with you being a bit of a psychologist at the team as well. Is that, I mean, how, for a men's team in a high performing environment like that, was obviously, as you want to communicate as well as possible, but was communication a problem? Or, I mean, how much were you able to kind of help each other and be open and those sorts of things?
Depended on the team, depended on the player.
Yeah.
You know, like obviously everybody's got their own ego. Everybody's got a different personality type. So some guys were easier to deal with than others. But that was a learning thing as well, like learning kind of spotting traits in certain guys and learning, okay, I know what this guy's kind of like. I've dealt with this before or seen it before. But I think my foundation was always setting the example. You know, getting there on time, being there, being consistent.
Stay consistent, work hard, right?
Yeah, well, that was it. I was always known as a kind of like a workhorse, and I would, you know, I had a good motor, I had good stamina. I was always, you know, so setting that example for the guys is the base of it, and then building off that. I mean, much different in a team sport than like what you guys went through as an individual sport. And that's always very interesting to me, is that because in a team sport, we can kind of rely on each other. We can help each other. We can talk through things. Whereas you guys, your self-talk and your confidence in yourself has to be much bigger to, especially, you know, bouncing back from a bad dive or whatever. Whereas basketball, you can lean on each other a little bit more. You know, you can maybe have an off game because other guys will pick you up, but it's always good there to be there and pick other guys up when they need it.
Yeah, that's always something that I've been jealous of, is not having people to lean on when I'm not having the best day, because you're then just absolutely exposed, and it's just not the nicest feeling at all. So
it's always something that's interested me with the dynamic between a team sport and an individual sport, and because you can have a bad game and you might get chewed out, and depending on what team you're on. You know, when I played in Europe, I was on and my team in Luxembourg, I was the only import on the floor, so if I had a bad game there, it would be a bit more exposed. But there was always other guys there. You know, it's not just one guy. Whereas here, a lot more import players, so a lot more guys with bigger responsibilities. But in that team sport, it's, you know, you screw that dive up, it's like all eyes on you.
Oh man.
Mental resiliency of you guys, and even being able to come back and bounce back from a bad performance or one bad dive and then go into the next one. That's a huge gift that individual sportsmen have.
Yeah, it's nasty.
I can't say I miss it though, to be honest.
No,
I can't say.
I mean,
I miss it.
I remember really in being in Rio specifically, on these very thoughts are coming, like, don't be that guy that slips off the end of the springboard, wipes out, and goes viral. Like, don't be the viral wipeout of the Olympics. Like, and like you're about to step onto the board, and your brain is like doing that. Like, don't be that guy. Don't be that guy.
Yeah. That can escalate quickly. You gotta learn how to talk to that person in your head quickly.
Yeah, I made mine Peter Griffin. Yeah, don't be that guy who slips off the board. Hey, Freddie.
We need to work on that, Freddie. We need to work on that.
You can help me out.
My goodness, that is unbelievable. I don't even know what to say to that. I think a psychologist could dive extremely deep into that whole dynamic.
It was a good.
My inner Pete Griffin.
Yeah.
That's
it took the weight
out. Serious red flags, mate.
It took the weight out of it, though. You know, the voice was.
I'm sure it did.
Suddenly, much more comical. Yeah,
I'm sure it did.
Did you have any? Did you have any like strategies for coping with those sorts of things yourself?
I think, like I said, I think positive self-talk is a huge one. Not letting those voices in your head get to you. You know, because you're positive if you're talking to yourself and not questioning yourself or getting down on yourself in your head, then that'll lead to a more positive attitude, a more positive mindset, a more relaxed mindset. And then when you're more relaxed and your attitude is better, that's going to lead to your actions. But it's kind of like that three-way cycle. If your actions are good in a good place, you know, if I'm performing well on the court, then my self-talk is going to be better, and then my attitude is going to be better. So I think not getting down on yourself after one bad play or letting things linger, you know, you have one bad quarter, having that next play mentality is a huge thing in basketball. Like, not focusing on the shot that I just missed, but getting back on defense and doing something else where I can help the team. Is a big thing as well. And also, like, it's not always all about scoring points. It's what are those other things? How else can I contribute to this team? And as a captain as well, like, maybe that's not on the court. Maybe that's being the guy on the bench and talking to guys on the bench, or being that kind of cheerleader guy and getting up and clapping his hands and telling other guys, hey, don't worry about that last play. Let's keep going. So but I think a lot of it starts in your own head, you know, and it's that self-talk that we all have.
Yeah, you've clearly developed some like really amazing traits of like performance excellence, and you have very good awareness of your own mind and your own approach. How does that approach to excellence now translate into your life beyond sport? And as a retired athlete, um, can you still do it in the same way, or is it had to adjust a little bit?
No, it's definitely so much different. Um, but I think um, excellence isn't always about like perfection, but it's about consistency. So I think
Mhm.
that's a huge one. Showing up every day, even when you're tired, even after a loss, and still bringing those same standards, is a huge one. And as a guy who played until he was like 39, discipline. We talked about those things like, making sure you're getting the right amount of sleep, making sure that your nutrition's good, and getting in the weight room. Having routines is a big one as well. I think that was something that I really struggled with, going from my playing career to my post-playing career. Is I had so much structure in my life, and then all of a sudden I went to a situation where there was no structure. I was in charge. I didn't, obviously I had to get to work at a certain time, and get my work done, but it wasn't
Yeah,
like going, getting paid to work out anymore. I had to figure out how
yeah,
to get to the gym on my own time. And
Yeah.
I think the gym and working out for me is a huge one for my mental health. If I take a week or two off, I definitely notice that my mental health takes a huge dive. So finding that discipline and consistency, to keep yourself, mentally but also physically fit, is a huge one. And just, yeah, showing up with purpose, I think, as well.
Do you have a specific career highlight? I mean, I can guess a few potential options, and then if you do, was there anything about that specific moment that felt different, or was it the same?
Yeah, I mean, I've been asked this question many times, so there's a million clips of me saying this, but
Yeah.
it's definitely, in 2016, we made the playoff final.
Yeah.
And we had lost in the playoff final in 2011. So getting back to that place, it had been a long time. And then the playoff finals is obviously the last piece of silverware you can win. It's the big one at the end of the season. In my eyes, it's the biggest thing. It was on the biggest stage. It was down at the London O2 Arena in front of
Whoa.
15,000 people. Um, we were the fourth seed going against the Leicester Riders, who were the number one seed. And we went in there and we just, we shocked the world. I don't think anybody had us picked to win that one, but except for ourselves. And we won it, and we won it. And I got MVP, most valuable player of the game. And for me, what was different about that game, I just think that it was a moment in my career where everything kind of aligned, for me. I think I was 32 years old. And I think physically I was in the best shape that I had ever been in my life. I think mentally, from a psychology standpoint, I was the most confident, I had ever been in my basketball playing abilities, and in my career, but also like basketball IQ wise and mentally. I think you get to a stage, when you're in your 20s as a basketball player, you're still kind of figuring it out, and the game is still kind of going a bit fast for you.
Mm.
Whereas when you get to that, like when you get to like 28, 29, 30, the game starts slowing down. You start seeing things more clear. The game becomes like easier for you. And I think I
Yeah.
had that perfect mix in my career where it was like the graph just like meeting like at that perfect point
Yeah.
where like mentally and physically I was just like it was perfect. But also I think my mental and physical preparation just going into that final stretch of the season, and being that leader with that team, it just, like I said, everything aligned. And there was this feeling, I still remember when I walked into that arena that day, that confidence I had because of the preparation that we had. And I just remember walking in and feeling like the atmosphere of the arena. And I was like, today's going to be a good day.
Yes.
Today's
amazing feeling.
day. Yeah.
Yes.
So it was electric. It was, obviously a moment I'll never forget and I'll cherish for the rest of my life.
That's the feeling that I would miss is when you just walk in to the pool and you just know it's going to be a good day, and then it's actually a good day, and then it feels absolutely fantastic. You feel on top of the world, and then the next day you come back and then you're just back to normal. Not very good.
Yeah.
It's just
Well, that was
all
it.
very
I had to go
humbling.
back to my law firm job like 2 days later after that.
Exactly.
It's like,
Yeah, that
I was just playing a sold out arena. Like, no, get to your desk. We need these reports.
Get me a coffee.
Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
That crash back to reality.
Just
It didn't get any
reality.
better each time coming back from the Olympics. The first day back in just normal life after the Olympics was not the one. But it's fantastic to hear like such positivity around basketball in Britain. And my girlfriend's a netball player, and I'm watching netball go through this period of professionalization where they're really trying to step up and get people interested, get people involved. And I feel like basketball in Britain is kind of at a certain level, but I almost feel like it could be so much bigger because basketball is an amazing sport. You look at the NBA in the US; it's just absolutely unbelievable. Every single game. What you get with football over here is fantastic, and I feel like there could be probably more support for basketball. But what's one misconception about basketball in Britain that you wish people actually understood?
I think for most people it's education. They just don't. They think it's just this American sport, and
Mm,
there's this misconception that nobody's into it over here. But basketball is actually the second highest played team sport after football amongst
really?
16 to 25-year-olds. Yeah. And we're just seeing those numbers explode. Obviously, me being involved with the Sharks, our junior development programs have just absolutely exploded, especially within the last 4 to 5 years. We went from being a club that just had one team at each age group to now we have over 1,000 kids in our development program. So I think the best is yet to come with basketball. I think one of the problems is that we're in the UK, we're in England, and it's football is God here. Football is like religion here. And I always say that, if you look at a pie chart, football is 90% and all the other sports are fighting for that sliver of that 10%. 10%.
Yeah, what's
So
diving?
yeah. So,
Negative.
but
Yeah,
it
we're
gives,
not on the pie chart, mate.
No.
it gives us something to aspire to, I think.
Yeah.
If you look at like a football team and their fan base, you look at, let's for example a Sheffield United fan. Well, it's because your dad was a Sheffield United fan and your grandfather was a Sheffield United fan, and that's not every case, but typically it's almost like handed down to you as a birthright or as like a religion.
Yeah.
And I think basketball in this country hasn't been around long enough. I mean, obviously it's been around for years, but the British Basketball League, as we know it, only started in 1987. So, you're looking at like 30, 40 years. And if I look at the Sharks fan base, yeah, we have grandparents that had brought their kids to the games in the 90s, and now those kids have kids. So there is that growing there, but it's not like you're a club that started in the 1860s and it's like ingrained in your culture and in your DNA. So basketball is relatively a new sport in the UK. I think that it's definitely one of the fastest growing sports. I think it's one of the most exciting sports for sure. It's indoors. You can take the family down on a weekends. There's clubs spotted all over the country. It's very accessible. You can drink a beer while watching the game, take your family.
And that's the selling point.
Well, yeah, me for sure, but it's family friendly. You're not going to have some hooligans
Exactly.
where you don't feel unsafe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
But that's
and
big.
there's a 24-second shot clock. So there's a shot like every 20, 10,
Yeah.
20 seconds. It's
Yeah.
exciting. You're not just going sitting in a cold, rainy pitch and it's 0-0 at the end of 95 minutes, right? Like it's a amazing game to watch and get involved with. And although there's a few blips in terms of the governing bodies and stuff going on that end, it's still an amazing product, and we're putting out a great league, and it's going from strength to strength. So I'm excited of where the game's at since I've gotten here, but I'm excited to see where it's going to go in the next 5 and then maybe 10 years. It could be huge.
And that's so cool for you, Mike, being in the position you're in now. I mean, you've got lots of roles, but I suppose I'm particularly thinking in your, in the marketing stuff you're doing, but your Sky Sports stuff and your coaching, like the fact that you can see such a bright future and you're a big part of that. I think that's super exciting for you. And even just from me personally, again, through doing lots of rehearsals in Miami, like I've been to see Miami Heat and I paid $140 to sit 7 miles away from the court. And then on the other side, I came down to watch you play, thanks to you, Mike, and me and my dad, and we're sat there and we're of course, give him a shout out.
I can't wait to see your old man again. He's a character.
Like we're so close to the action. It was so entertaining. You're right. The shot clock and all those things. It's amazing. So it is super exciting and entertaining. And yeah, to see you feeling like that now and just enjoying this, that fills me with even more excitement as well. So no, it's great. And obviously the Sharks have built their own arena now in Sheffield, the Cannon Medical Arena. And this is our going into our 3rd season playing there. And, obviously I've, as the marketing manager, I've been a big part of like getting more people down and our fan base is growing. Our season ticket holders are growing. There's just more energy about it. Our supporters club is absolutely amazing. We're seeing, we've got a great group called Sharks on Tour where they're traveling to away games now, which
no way.
We didn't never really had that like as much.
Unreal.
You'd have a couple here and there. And like this past season, we brought 90 people to Cheshire and like 70 people over to Manchester. So like, it's just, we're getting there. It's step by step and it's baby steps. But it's getting there and the league overall, obviously it's just like any sport. It just needs more time and more money to evolve. But, as time goes on, it's becoming, a more alluring league to invest in. So hopefully we'll see more investment in the near future.
Yeah. Amazing. I think, that's an awesome place to wrap up the this main episode, Mike. So yeah, thank you so much, Mike. Before we do leave, where can people find you personally? Maybe also the Sheffield Sharks. Where can we send them?
Yeah, I mean, if you wanna check me out, obviously I'm at Mike Tuck 15 across all platforms. And if you want to check out the Sharks, pretty easy. Just type in Sheffield Sharks. The Instagram is Sheffield Sharks Official. And we also have the Sheffield Hatters at the arena as well, the women's team, which they're phenomenal. They won the playoffs last year. So if you're in Sheffield or around the area, get down to the Cannon Medical Arena, support the Sharks, support the Hatters.
Yes.
And come on over. I'm a gentle giant. Support me. Stay with
I'll also shout out the Leeds Rhinos netball as well. They play there sometimes.
Yeah, Leeds Rhinos play there, and then also our local team, Sheffield Steel. So if you want to check out those games, go on parkcommunityarena.co.uk. All the fixtures are up on our website there. So get down to the arena and support Sheffield sports.
Well, that's a great message to finish on. Support Sheffield sports. Mike, again, thank you so much. That's where we'll leave it today. If you're joining us on Patreon, don't go anywhere because Mike's going to stick around for one more dive. And if you're not there yet, come join us for extra stories. The link will be in the show notes and we'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.